Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for joining me once again on this reverse recruitment 0% growths LTC. We are, officially, in the end game now. We begin by handing out several stat boosters to Laura and Ilyana. In the short term, these will help them reach key offensive benchmarks. After that, it's time to rock and roll. I hope you're as excited as I am. This is the first of 5 maps in Radiant Dawn's endgame, known as 4E1. For one last time, the objective is to rout the enemy army, which consists of 48 initial units and more as the turns go by. Of those, nearly half will not move to attack us. There are 2 generals guarding the left and right staircases, plus 7 more in the upper left and upper right corners, plus 5 more toward the top center of the map. The passive magic enemies are the boss Lehran, his lackey Hetzel, 4 more bishops, and 2 sages with long-range magic. Some of these enemies will require player phase actions, but others can be defeated through clever positioning. Our 3 hammers are in high demand with all this armor around, so no one uses Irvin to take down his first general. Ike wants to get hit by this enemy in order to activate Resolve later, and in retrospect, equipping an axe would have been ideal. The hammer is not a good choice here because of its 54% hit rate. There is an argument to be made that the hammer could help manipulate the bishop AI, but we'll get into that later. The maneuvers in the left lane here are quite fun. We have deployed Nasir in a spot that allows him to provide white pool both before and after moving. Tormod gets the ball rolling by damaging this general, and assuming he doesn't activate any skills, Aaron will finish the job. Afterwards, Nasir makes the most of his action by placing a shine barrier to his left. This will force all enemy phase aggro into this area to be directed towards Ilyana, who will be our second white pool beneficiary. We have forged maximum hit on her custom wind tome in order to combat the sages who will attack her from higher ground. Jill has several jobs in the right lane, the first of which is to eliminate this bolting sage. She will have to end her turn within range of 2 thunder sages, but their displayed hit rates are only around 30%. Her chance of death is there, but it's low. Meanwhile, Nyla gets to do more of what she does best. Leanne flies forward to perform her 4-way refresh. We're about to use some of these rejuvenated units to take out enemies that would otherwise be extremely annoying. We already saw that Nolan has pass, and he's about to use it again. Thanks to that skill, Nolan sneaks behind the line of stationary generals and takes down a bishop with a sleep staff. Despite the enemy density in that area, he will fight only once during the next enemy phase. The nearby bishop is too scared to do anything. Meanwhile, Laura needs to clear out the left side axe general to create space for Meg. The Spirit Dust ensures that she can complete this task. Meg capitalizes by moving in to defeat the isolated Blizzard Sage. Enemy siege magic is no longer a threat. Leanne is now quite exposed, so we're going to build a good old-fashioned wall and take out any enemies on the wrong side of it. At the same time, we want to maximize the number of enemies we can defeat on enemy phase. We can't reliably beat the mobile generals this way, so we focus on making sure that each of the 5 units in our wall can counterattack and kill the fire sages. Fiona will be the one to take the center position, but she has to rearm Ike and damage a general on the way. Ragnall itself cannot be traded, but we can circumvent this by trading Ike's other weapons around. It's worth noting that if this general had rolled high on defense, she would need to throw her spear here. Hannah will swoop in for the finisher afterward. Within our diagonal wall, Ike and Fiona have Shade, while Laura and Taraneo have Provoke. The idea is to direct enemies toward units who have a decent chance of both 1. Surviving, and 2. Activating skills. Resolve Laura is nearly untouchable. Elincia will make Taraneo equip his hand axe, and then she can heal whoever needs it most. In this case, that happens to be Tanith. We'll need several things to go our way during enemy phase, so we battle save. Lehran uses his action to repair the rescue staff for the second time. After that, we hope for the best. Hetzel has both a sleep and a silent staff, but he prefers to silence Lehran. Ike's worst fire rhythm helps him get hit by this fire sage, activating Resolve and ensuring the counter kill. Now that Resolve is up, the next fire sage will pick a different target, in this case provoke Laura. To secure that kill, we had to make sure that Sage rolled 24 resistance or less. Once again, Laura's Spirit Dust helps out. Jill and Ilyana are both in range of several mages and one or two other physical enemies. Ilyana's survival is not difficult to accomplish, especially with all the chances to heal herself with flare procs. Jill's situation is a bit more tenuous, but at least one of the two Thunder Sages has to land a hit for her to die. Some rough math tells me that happens around a third of the time, and then the other enemies have to hit. No one else is in serious danger. Because no one had to attack with a forged hand axe, we do have to rely on a Colossus proc to defeat the adjacent general. With good biorhythm, no one's odds of success are 41%. We would also greatly appreciate it if Taraneo activated Adept or Luna against the enemy that fought him at melee range, but it's not a deal breaker. It just means that a bishop will heal that enemy, and will have a bit more combat to rig on turn 2. If Ike had gone with a hammer on turn 1, then the two bishops with physics staves may have had to choose between 3 injured units. I didn't pursue that idea very far, so perhaps you could manipulate enemy HP values to set up turn 2 better. Something that I only figured out during review is that every enemy on this map starts at neutral biorhythm. This holds true for all of the Disciples of Order that we encounter in the tower, but I didn't check whether that's true in the earlier Part 4 maps. Either way, it's some cool attention to detail. Here are those Physic bishops I talked about. I suspect they make 2 checks during each enemy phase to decide who to heal, one at the beginning and one at the end. If I could use a hammer, a healer would have been the first enemy to act. The inside of the Tower of Guidance features several new types of terrain. Cover tiles boost a unit's defense by a full 10 points, while Wardwood does the same for resistance. All of the units in the upper corners of this map are stationed on cover tiles, so Jill has to use parity in order to ignore terrain bonuses and one-round Hetzel. Her 32 speed is just barely enough to double Hetzel's 28. Afterwards, Celerity enables her to canto into the spot Nolan cleared out with his Colossus proc. With Resolve and a hammer, Ike can now one-round generals as well. It doesn't matter if he attacks from this spot, or if he swaps places with Jill. Laura is very glad to have Ike and Nolan's help here, because they've been dealing with the generals on the Wardwood tiles. This poor general who is not on Wardwood is just an HP buffet for her. Before Meg finishes off the Cowardly Bishop, she will hand off her hammer to Nolan. With this formation, it's pretty obvious where Leanne is going. If Hetzel were still alive, he would be dismayed to discover that his silent staff accomplished nothing, on top of already being a generally dismayed individual. Speaking of dismayed, imagine being an enemy general up here. First you fail to protect your leader, then Nolan walks into your ranks and treats you with the same respect he gives to a loose nail. Our turn 2 thus far has been very reliable, but we're about to venture into less stable territory. Tormod has been given one of our Adept Scrolls, and we want him to take out the newly arrived Axe General. Kinigas shoves Ilyana forward to open up a spot next to Nasir, which Tormod will gladly occupy. At good biorhythm, his odds of activating Adept or Flare at least once are 68%. Next up, Aaron gets to one-round an enemy. Bishops are very slow. Nasir has once again been able to buff our mages both before and after movement. For a unit with essentially no stats, he sure is contributing a lot of damage. This next maneuver is driven by the need to kill the remaining sniper. If he hadn't been healed, Elincia could finish him off herself, saving an action and a use of the rescue staff. As it stands, we need Laura to double the 27 speed sniper and defeat him. Having her free in the center lane would have been nice for improving reliability. With the sniper down, Nyla will use our second pass scroll to run up to the last enemy bishop. Since the adjacent general is stationary, it doesn't matter that he has a ranged weapon. What does matter is that Nyla is one attack point shy of a 2-hit KO, so she has to rely on her 58% chance to activate Adept or Savage. Pretty decent odds for being at worst Biorhythm. Our tactics in the upper left corner will be similar to those in the upper right. This time our parity user is Meg, who makes use of the Tempest Blade from 4-4. Her hit rates are shaky, but the only viable alternative is Nolan, and he's busy. Meg has now opened up a tile for Jill to use. She attacks the general next to Meg to make sure the remaining enemies around her can only attack into a hammer. She hasn't had a chance to heal since her evasive maneuvers last turn, but she does benefit from cover, so her current HP is enough to guarantee her survival from this point on. Our combat in the center lane is the most variable. Since neither Fiona nor Taraneo activated any skills on enemy phase, we have 5 generals to deal with and only 4 available actions. The 2 near the upper right staircase can be dealt with in a single action, but that means each of the 3 remaining actions has to result in a kill. Ike's hit rate just now was actually 98% thanks to Resolve, and Tanith can finish off the weakened target. Since Taraneo has to move north, that leaves the last one for Fiona. I'll give you 3 guesses as to how we accomplished that last kill. Boom! It's all Ogre. The Northern General ended up rolling high on defense, but thanks to the weapon triangle, Taraneo can still one round with the Brave Axe. Even if he couldn't, 4 chances to proc Adept and Luna would give him an 87% chance to make up the damage deficit. And that's assuming Resolve doesn't activate. Case in point. Thankfully, we get to find out right away whether Nyla succeeds in her mission. From here on out, the least reliable combat comes from Jill and her displayed hit rates of around 85. For all intents and purposes, we've done it. As a final note, some of the generals on this map can reach 26 speed. Fortunately for our units in the 29 speed club, these generals only show up in the left and right lanes, where we are using faster player units anyway. We don't have to alter our strategy to account for this. As the sounds of combat finally cease, I'm proud to say that we complete 4E1 in 2 turns. Join me next time to bear witness to a fateful duel. And a robbery. Take care, everyone. Oh.